October rendition of Maker Roundtable. And if anybody has anything they want to start off with, feel free. If not, I've got a question in my hand.
Well, I just say that I had planned to present at the Assistive Technology Conference of New England on a process for making assistive technology.
Right.
Darn if they didn't cancel that conference.
Oh.
For reasons outside of their control, to be unnamed. Don't know what that means.
Because everything went skyrocketing in price, probably.
I don't know. All I know is I had to cancel a lot of reservations and it ended up costing me a chunk. Maybe it's because I went to Expedia. I don't think I'm going to ever do that again.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Or you should have just gone and enjoyed New England.
Yeah, well, that would have cost me more than what I lost in fees and stuff. But yeah.
You can come to Texas and present.
Okay, good. I'm looking for a guinea pig audience. So sure.
It's June 11th and 12th. We're getting ready for our call for papers.
I thought it was 8th through 9th. Let me double check.
What's that, Cole?
Yeah,
he said it's the 8th and 9th. He might be right.
So Cole,
yeah,
send me what information you have about it.
Okay.
So
that might work out really well for you.
And Ken, Arizona, we do our big conference too in June, because I know you'd love to probably come to Phoenix in the heat in June.
I lived in Tucson for 8 years, so I know good about it.
Yes.
And we do our conference usually the beginning of April. If you want to hang out, it actually is a very nice time in Missouri.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, Shannon, you're right. It is the 11th and 12th of June. I was thinking about this past year's conference. So I will put that link in the chat.
So you've got all kinds of options, Ken.
Right.
Ken, I did a demo at Closing the Gap with the bliss symbols and got a lot more people on board. Karen Kangas mentioned it in her training, and she's one of the gurus, and then a couple others. So I gave sets to one of the programs in New York. So it was good. It's just chipping away.
Good. Like I say, you never know when a door is going to open.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to try all the doors. It makes you sound a little creepy because you're always moving handles on doors, but you never know when one's going to open.
Oh, they're opening. It's chipping away. Like Lisa Ratelli and Karen Kangas actually mentioned it in their trainings a couple times. So I went to 2 different trainings and they mentioned them. And which is getting people to ask questions about them, which then I can send them the links to go to your site. So you probably had a few more hits during that week.
And I think I said I will be presenting that topic at Ocali.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a new audience. I don't know.
Where's that?
It's virtual. It's virtual, but Ocali. I think the O stands for Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's on autism.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And Ken, where are you at?
I'm northwest of Denver.
Okay. Nice.
And Ron, where are you?
Yeah, I'm the new guy. I should introduce myself.
Yeah, please.
Bill Janes and I have been working on a project of his for the last couple of months, and he recommended that I hop on this call, and it sounded interesting. I'm a longtime maker, and within the last kind of post-COVID, losing my normal sources of income, I've decided to go back to work that I wanted to do many, many moons ago, which was assistive tech. I have no background in it, and I have nobody I'm doing it for. A lot of people do it because they have family members. So don't have any of that. So I'm kind of an oddball there, but it's just been fascinating to listen and learn. And on Facebook, I'm part of the AT Makers group and the assistive technology groups.
Ron,
And
aren't you in Texas?
yes, I am. I am near Fort Cavazos or Fort Hood, Killeen area, just north of Austin.
All right, we need you, Ron. We're trying to
great.
start, you're exactly who we're looking for. We're trying to start, or it's gonna be the Tamales, Texas Assistive Technology Makers Alliance.
Bill, what have you done to me?
Sorry, you keep pushing on doors and eventually doors open. Isn't that what you just said?
No, I'm trying to keep them closed.
No,
leave
Ron,
out
you want
doors.
to come and join us because we're good people and we're looking for people like you to help us that have more of that engineering background, and we have the AT background so that we can start building networks.
Sure. And most of what I've been doing recently has been, and it kind of kicked off by happenstance, was building analog joysticks for the adaptive controller, the Microsoft Adaptive Controller. So I've been doing a lot, nearly all my work. I sell my stuff on Etsy. All my stuff is joysticks.
Well, I bought your how to solder kit a while back. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you for your support.
And hey, Ron, I mentioned the other group that was doing something similar in terms of being able to, in their case, sell 3D printed AT. That's Cole and Shannon.
Okay.
So they're the group right there in Texas doing a very similar project to what we're working on.
Great. Yeah, I've got all the sorts of maker stuff, 3D printers and laser cutters and electronics lab, and probably strongest on the electronics and the manufacturing. But everything I do is 3D printed. I have all my stacks of parts and everything in the background here in office number 1.
Ron, do you have an email that we can reach out to you?
You sure can. I'll put it in there. It's my Gmail account.
And then we'll let Scout take it back.
No, that's great. Thank you for all that in-depth intro. It's great. And it looks like you're going to be busy for a while.
Yeah. And the other thing that's important to know is I have made this my full-time job, for better or for worse. And it's been a struggle because you got to sell a lot of joysticks to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet, but this isn't a side gig for me. This is my real thing that I'm focused on. So you've got my time if you need it.
Nice. Well, we're glad to have you. Glad Bill drug you in here.
He helped me to pay my bills this year, so I owe him something.
Heck,
All
I'm sorry I
right.
didn't drag you in sooner.
Yeah. Well, Bill, if there's any extra, if you want to help any of the rest of us pay our bills, we'd probably be fine with that too. So share the. No, just kidding.
Hey, deal. Hey, as the grants come in, as they come in, on the rare occasion that they come in, I'm trying to get people in.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to share. I have kind of a cool update. So, Adam with Enable, which is a maker group. If you're not familiar, so they're an international maker group that started focusing on prosthetics. And basically what's happening is in this country, there's just not a kind of a big enough call for 3D printed prosthetics to keep all the people who are interested busy. So Adam, because he's in the Kansas City area, started, he wants to work with AT Act projects and started with me because we're neighbors. And so I got a list of things I wanted. He threw it out on Enable, and I've gotten 2 packages so far, one from Europe. I do not know why. There's a nice woman in Europe who wanted to 3D print for me, but she sent me like 60 items or more. And
Scott,
then a guy in Illinois
Where's she located in Europe?
I don't actually know. Because the box came with a New York address.
Have you
Her name
been
was
emailing?
Julie.
Have you
What?
been emailing? Have you been emailing with her?
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking for people who are 3D printing people in Europe, because I get requests from Europe for some of my stuff, and I can't be sending stuff to Europe, so be great to
I
have
will
contact.
email her and copy you.
All right.
Yeah, I
I'm
will
gonna-
say the international stuff is important because about half of my customers are outside the US. Probably the Australia, Japan, and Germany would probably be the top three, but I've sent all over the place. So
Wow.
yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the folks are like, can you get it done there? Because it's going to cost 30
Right.
bucks to ship this $30 joystick. And they're like, no, I can't get it. So
Which
yeah,
is interesting.
the bigger the network we could build, that would be really cool too.
Yeah, and Enable has a really large network, and basically anybody can request to join and hop on their hub, and I think it really is a great resource. I've got a kid in California who's willing to print for me, and there was one a school in St. Louis.
So I think Makers Making Change also has international locations.
Yes. Yeah, they do. They're strongest in Canada, but
right. I just need people who are willing to do more than print, but are also willing to work with the person in need to get measurements, for example.
Right. And that's harder because then you have to be close. I mean, shipping is one thing, within your country, but measuring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like saying you're in Texas and okay.
Yeah, or somebody at least in the
500 miles
same
either way.
At least somebody in the same time zone so they can have phone calls with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Yeah, so with this enabled connection, I was able to put together some kits, and I need to get the maker. I need to get people making for me a little more regularly before I actually put these kits out, because I'm going to offer devices basically free of charge to folks, which is nice because it's just a limited number of items.
So Scott, this enabled connection, we're talking strictly prosthetic hands?
That's what they started. So I put out files. Actually, Adam put it out on the hub, put out the files that I wanted, and that's what they built for me. I'm absolutely requesting simple, like jar openers, tube openers, nail clipper supports, just basic.
How did you put those out on the hub? I mean, the only thing I'm familiar with Enable is you can order a kit from them and put it together and say you'll send it off to somebody who needs a prosthetic hand. How are you getting other things into this?
So the hub is where the makers talk to each other.
Okay.
And so I signed up, but I sent Adam my files. He put them out there. These folks are pulling them down, printing them. I mean, this Julie woman just printed everything, 10 copies of everything, put them in a box and mailed them to me.
Okay, and Adam is a part of the organization?
Yeah, and I'll actually copy Adam on the email to Julie.
Okay, it's interesting that
Adam is their outreach.
Okay, it's interesting that they're opening the possibilities up beyond prosthetic hands.
So the thing is that because they have people that want to help, they have people that want to print, and there's not enough requests, they want to keep their members active and involved. So they're trying to localize need beyond prosthetics for these folks who just want to help, and you know, they'll print for other people. Like the kid who's in high school, I sent him a shipping label. The guy, you know, the woman in Europe, I did not. The guy in Illinois, I did not send a shipping label. The folks in St. Louis, they're going to drop off at a convenient location that's a partner of ours, and we'll ship from there.
Right.
You know, but like it seems like their group just wants to be involved in 3D printing. They almost don't care what they're printing, you know.
And are they eating the material cost?
So far, which is
Cool.
kind of cool. I know, that's what I was asking Adam. I'm like, how much, you know, what's my involvement? And he's like, nope, they'll ship, they'll provide material. But I did offer shipping because that's easy for us.
Okay. Yeah, not so easy for me. But so I would love to have people in Europe who'd be willing to print and mail, ship, whatever, post at their own cost. Or they could theoretically charge the end recipient also in Europe.
Right. Because it's a more reasonable cost,
Right.
I would assume, than shipping from Colorado.
Right. I think in Europe, it's like shipping in the United States. There are no boundaries, no special
Right.
import-export requirements.
Yeah. So that's been really cool so far. I actually am delivering my first devices today. We'll ride my bike over to the senior housing and give them each their little baggies of devices. Yeah, so that's what's going on. But I have a question. So one of the things that I have in my you know kit, my demo kit, is a nail clipper, which I really like. I don't have it here. If you can see that picture, it's that one, right? So probably you're not unfamiliar with this. Great, you can use it anyway. But the guy from Illinois sent me this 2-piece one, pops together, scissors. You're probably familiar with it. Nice little print. I don't know how to print this. When he sent me the file, and maybe it's just because I'm dumb. I don't know much about 3D printing yet, but he sent me the file and I sliced it, and it sliced it flat. Like it still looks like this on the print bed. And I don't know, I actually didn't have time today. Can I just pick up a piece of that and put it next to it and print too?
So yeah, what you can do is depending on your slicer, first of all, it may be designed to print in place.
Really?
Yeah. So
even when it has a poke, like it has basically a male and a female. Sorry, that's the, you know, it can print in place.
I have to see the STL to tell. But go ahead.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Ken. Scott, I believe we on the TTAP website, we do have the file like all in one. For me, at least, when I print it's printed all in like one piece, so I can put that link in the chat. So it made me a little bit easier to print, and I'm imagining it shouldn't be an issue with slicing either.
Yeah, do that. I'm gonna try because I have it sliced. I printed out the first version, but the first version takes 3 hours to print. And so I'm hoping this is faster, but it's still over 2 hours.
So Scott, I don't know if you can send me the STL or even put it in. Can you add files to the? Oh,
I just put a link in the chat. This looks like what you did, Scout, if that's the same one.
Okay.
So I have not tried this device, but I've done some other print and place things with hinges like this. And my only, it's a great idea. Yeah, I think the one that, yeah, looks like those are variations in the same thing. The one that Cole put in too. With a print in place like that, you have to have really tight tolerances on your printer. because the gap between the two pieces that it's laying down is so narrow, you can't have much stringing between there or have like walls stuck together. But it's still got to be so tight that your hinged piece hinges. So I have not had much success with print in place devices, but I know other people have. Maybe I just haven't tuned my printers well enough.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things that can only be done print in place. So I have a tablet stand that has an internal hinge with little internal hinge in it, and you adjust the amount of tension in that hinge by making some changes in the program, but it totally works. You could make it really loose on a printer that over extrudes, I don't know, or make it really tight on a printer that under extrudes. But these are done all the time, Scott, so it's possible.
Okay, and I guess for me, I've just started 3D printing, so it all seems like still like magic, as
Oh, yeah.
opposed to science.
It is definitely magic, that's for sure. When you think about how in the world you can create these geometries using 3D printing, you just couldn't do any other way.
Right. Yeah, so I'm going to, I'm going to try this, and then I'm looking at Ken and Cole. If I fail, I'm going to reach out probably to you guys to help me. I have a Prusa. Cole, you guys have Ultimakers, don't you?
Yeah, an Ultimaker S3 and S5. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a Prusa as well. So
all right. So Ken, you might be more of my go-to guy, just because I don't know how much translation I can do because I'm so new, so if like you have to go here and do this, and if mine doesn't look like that, I don't know if I can do that.
And what slicer do you use?
Prusa.
Okay, gotcha. I use Kira, so that might be slightly different in terms of the configuration.
Yeah.
But you've got an accurate printer, so that's
what I feel like. You saying you blow things up?
Yes. Sometimes literally.
Yeah. So who else has something? Because I could keep going. I have all kinds of things, but Mary, Heidi, Shannon, Cole, anybody got issues they want to talk about? Projects you're working on?
Oh, I've got issues, just maybe not AT.
We're here to help.
Oh, thank you.
wow, that was good.
And I apologize. I was just putting in the chat that I have to leave at 9:30 because we have to go do an assessment. But this is interesting. I've been in AT for a long time, but I don't have the engineering mind. My background is counseling. But I love how things are being able to be made. And the 3D printing, I worked for the Arizona AT Act program for 8 years, and they got one. And I never knew how Mike did it. It was amazing to me. But so right now, I don't. I used to have a problem with people not being able to fish. You know how they have the casters for one-handed and stuff, but I could never find someone to how to cast it out because the button would bring it in, but not cast it out. And I've always been looking for engineers to try to
Catapult.
Yeah. But I don't know if I ever found one, but
Shannon will get on that one, I bet.
all right.
It's gonna go right in there with my worm hooker thing, which
That's
I'm still
right.
working on.
Oh, good.
So I worked with an engineering capstone group for a year on trying to design something, and they built a prototype. And in the end, their prototype didn't quite work, but the idea was pretty sound. So they built it was basically, maybe I can find a diagram of it. Actually, I think I presented it in this group a year or two back. A barrel, which was PVC pipe. Inside of that, they had a long spring, and the fishing line ran through the PVC and through the spring. Then it was on a motor, and then they had running on, it might have been an Arduino, a simple loop where when you press the button the first time, the motor retracts, pulls the line back so that it loads the spring. And then when you hit the button again, it releases the motor so that the spring can eject the load. They used a wad, almost like an old rifle, to eject it. Their calculations, the problem was they were using a stepper motor, and there was no way for that motor to rotate fast enough, or at least at the right rate, so that the string could be ejected consistently. And when you wound up with a wad of string. Cool.
Yeah.
I actually had a similar but different request. Is they sell remote control boats for fishing, and the people wanted to have the hand controller so they could use switch buttons instead of the sticks.
Wow.
So that's another way of approaching that problem. The ones that I saw on Amazon seemed all like junk, but that concept seemed pretty good, because you can get better sized boats, so it just drops a short line in, and yeah, like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
that's,
Shannon's
yeah, I
boat.
never even thought of that part. Yeah.
What
Gosh.
are you showing? Oh, that's okay. Remote
boat.
control.
So
Oh, remote boat with, and then the line
you just have to,
be on that boat.
best if it can hold on to the line and then release the line at some point. So you have a bobber attached, it drags it out, it releases the line, the boat can come back.
Oh, that's a good idea too. Yeah, because this one, it was all connected to the boat, and you drove the boat and the fish back and hope your boat's strong enough.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be.
And
Oh,
my
no,
people,
that's interesting.
for the people I was talking to, these were all people with, these were older men with ALS who fished their whole lives. And what they wanted
Mhm.
was the fight of pulling the fish back. So having the boat do that wasn't going to do it for them, because we thought about that.
But
That
there's
may
no
be
way-
different from your
There's no
issue.
way a boat's going to be able, no way a boat with almost no friction is going to be able to pull that fish back. So yeah, it's going to take someone with the actual rod to pull back.
I
Yeah.
don't know why you couldn't do something like this a little bigger, because it's got the turning thing and there's no motor on it. I guess you would just need the motor to pull it back. Because to me, if you just had this, like this is just a nylon or a little stretchy, like a rubber band,
Cord.
but it's like a hair tie. And it's
My
got
guess,
a
I
good
guess,
spring.
Shannon, is that would
What?
throw my guess is that would throw the gear about a yard.
Well, this one would, but if you had a bigger thing, because
Yeah.
I get little, if you've got a,
It'd have to be a good, I don't know, 4 feet.
Right.
Throw what you'd need to throw.
Well, and
I'm,
so
I'm
this
not going to
group-
go get my trebuchet at the moment, but I have a small trebuchet. It's about 2 feet long, and it will throw lead balls about 30 feet or through an office window, depending on where you're at.
Right. So
And then
this-
that one, it doesn't use a rubber band. A trebuchet is an arm, and then it's got weights on the end,
Right.
and you pull it back and it goes.
So Ron, you should try attaching anything, attach a bobber to
Yeah.
some monofilament line, and then which is attached to a rod, and then press a little button on the casting reel and let it, so it's got no tension on it, but it's got to pull that whole line out, as well as throw the bobber and another, I don't know, 10 feet of
Right.
drop from the bobber. See how well it can do that, as opposed to just
And
let,
then bring it back. And
yeah.
then bring the fish back. Yeah.
Well, that is.
Geez,
Well, this
didn't
it
mean
wouldn't
to
bring it
start
back. It would
something.
just get
Right.
it out.
This is how it goes.
You have to bring it back with the reel. But my guess is the trebuchet is going to have trouble with that combination of line and and all that floppy line attached to
Yeah, it's gonna be like me trying to cast. It's just gonna I'm gonna end up with a hook in
you're
my
gonna have a
mouth.
hook in you. Yeah.
I get 4 and 5-year-olds casting on my dock, so we can do this.
Oh, all right. I like that confidence.
Everybody needs to fish.
Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us today, Mary and Heidi.
Thank you
All
guys.
right, you guys take care. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is great. I like the ideas, and I am curious. I like catapults. I was trying to get a catapult that would be switch activated for a while, Shannon. So if you've got something on that, let me know. But the
So-
trebuchet, I might have more luck. Even though I don't know.
Cole and I just went down to, well, Cole didn't get to go, but they have a Special Olympics annual event here in Texas, down in Lake Jackson, where they let the kids fish at the fish hatchery. So you're guaranteed to catch something that way, which was kind of cool. But they have weekly fishing events, so I could actually go down there and try anything out if we start moving forward on it.
So here's an idea, Shannon. Attach the hook to a minnow, let the minnow take the line out. And then let a bigger fish grab the minnow. I mean,
You can
people-
almost do like a boat that takes it out, and then the boat can come back and somehow release it.
Yeah, that's what Ken was thinking of too.
Yeah, because if I had something that would like release it, I
Yeah,
could hook it to the little boat, I could send it out and drop it, and then the boat could come back and release it and come back.
that would work. Because your drag wouldn't be too high with your line
Mm-mm.
right?
Yeah, this little thing can get all the way across the lake and come back and chase the ducks, which my kids aren't allowed to do, but they do anyways.
It just occurred to me, the engineering school here at Mizzou, in conjunction with the local robotics team, I think, does an annual event where they bring in grade school kids and have them build basically remote controlled boats. But they're always trying to like work some new functionality into the boats. That could be a
need
group.
to drop.
All you got to do is have a simple one motor that just goes click and that's it.
Yep.
Get
them on it. Now you've
Famous last words. It's just the
Yeah.
motor.
Oh, I got to figure out who to contact about that.
Go Bill.
That could be
Go
fun.
Bill.
But yeah, that's a cool project, problem solving project for kids. How do you get a fishing line out and see what they come up with beyond just the boat? I mean, trebuchet, a boat, extending pole or something, who knows?
Blow dart.
Blow dart, yeah.
There you go. All you need to do is carry this compressed air with you and you're all set.
That was one of the designs this engineering group came up with at first.
That's great.
It's very
Yep.
powerful.
They used the analogy of a spud gun, and I went,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, sounds like there's another project.
Well, I think that outdoor fishing, especially like you said, for ALS or Parkinson's, when you think about some of these people that, not just men, girls too, that just love fishing. There's just something about bringing it in too. So I can see all of this, but I think it's a worthwhile project because it's truly getting people outside, recreation, joy, quality of life.
Yeah, maintaining the the activities that are meaningful. Yeah. Yeah. So with that ALS clinic, Bill, is there other things that have come up? I'm sure there are that.
Yeah. So that individual there, we are mostly doing pre-made designs right now. That's most of the requests we're getting. We are working one, not with our ALS clinic. I was trying to pull up pictures and diagrams, but I guess I don't have any of them. For someone else in our local OT clinic, were asked to design essentially a grip to go on a guitar slide. So a guy plays lap guitar, has the steel slide bar. But I believe, I don't even know what his diagnosis is, but from the description of what's going on, it sounds like he had a stroke at some point, and is having difficulty maintaining grasp on the slide bar. So we have an undergrad engineering student who works with us now, in addition to a couple of OT students and an OT who all kind of came up together with, he wanted a ball grip. So just a 3D printed sphere with a bolt through that holds it to a little frame that goes over the slide bar. So he's holding the slide bar with he's holding onto a sphere onto the slide bar. And there are a couple of issues there that we've run into. So the first iteration of it, he likes a lot and he wants to keep pursuing it. But his hand slips off of this sphere. We had to go through a lot of talking. Actually, just today, I was next door in the other OT's office, questioning, is it a matter of the whole device, the whole sphere is falling over when he tries to slide, that as if there were too much friction, but that's not the case. It's more that he's having difficulty maintaining his hand on the ball. The first thing they tried to do in clinic was just wrap some Dyson around it to give him a little bit of grasp. And that seemed to help, and he liked it-ish, but didn't love it, didn't fully solve the issue. So what we're looking at now is adding almost a little fin, almost if you think of like just a centimeter tall, almost shark fin that runs between his fingers so that his fingers don't slide off, and possibly one on either side of his middle finger, so that then it does two things. It keeps his hand from falling off the sides of the thing, and also gives just a little bit of surface area to push against when he's doing that slide, as opposed to just trying to move the entire sphere, which in a sense mimics a slide bar. I don't know if you've seen a slide bar. You've got the slides that are almost like a ring that goes over the finger, but a slide bar has kind of grooved edges that your fingers sit into. So we're almost replicating that feature on the spherical grip.
I mean, Bill, I hate to say this because Ken is on the meeting, but you could kind of do that at an Instamorph. And
no, that's what I was going to say, Scott.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
this is personal. This is highly personal, highly organic. Don't try to 3D print that part of it.
Yep. So I agree with you. And in fact, my suggestion was just split material, because we have that in clinic. We have Instamorph in the lab, but they have split material in the clinic that we heat it up, we wrap it around the ball, form it in there, and it's good to go. I agree with you totally. 3D printing is not always the solution.
Yeah, I mean, it might be for the interface between that Instamorph and the slide itself.
Yep.
But the thing that's in his hand, that should be made specifically for him.
right.
Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Bill, it's Bill, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because you have William, and so now.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so if the weight of his hand is coming down and it's hard for his hand, would it be possible to like even hook like a little slide on the top of the guitar so it kind of folds down and you slide up and down like a drawer slide, but different?
Like it's
so
on a
that
track?
Yeah, like on a little tiny track where it's kind of, because to me, it's the weight's pulling down. It's going to have that weight. So it's still going to put, but that would reduce the weight and then it would just be some way to grip it. I don't know.
But he's using the guitar on his lap, correct?
Right. I'm not sure what the hand sliding off is about. If it's about him not being able to maintain essentially the balance of his hand on the ball, if he doesn't have sensation in that palm, if he's not able to feel quite where he is on there. But that track idea had absolutely occurred to me. I think I think it's beyond my capability to design and our capability in our group to manufacture something quite like that.
Use
So
a
I
hanger
wanted to see if
wire.
a simpler idea would work, but that's definitely on our radar.
So I'm a little concerned about a track. I may not be understanding what you're saying, Shannon, but the slide has to be able to move vertically as well. So it has to be able to come up off of the guitar and then go back down onto the guitar. It can't it's not just something going horizontal. Otherwise, you would always, you could, well, I don't know if he picks, does he pick this guitar as well?
I don't know.
So you
But
need
right,
to be
you're
able to
always-
do things like open strings and other things like that. So you'd have to be able to lift this, if you watch a slide guitarist, they're moving vertically, not just horizontally.
Right, right. Hydraulics. You need the hydraulics to help him lift.
That's why I say an exoskeleton, I think, is
Pneumatic.
key to this.
The exoskeleton. Perfect.
Now it's really starting to sound like a college engineering class.
No, I was thinking kind of like make your ball like a bowling ball where you put some of your fingers in the hole, but that's when like Instamorph, you could actually dig holes in and even if it's just one finger, or something.
Hey, Bill, are you an OT?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, you could, or somebody could be working with this guy to really see what his abilities and limitations are, what's causing the problem here, because that you got to figure that out first.
Oh yeah. And that's part of the problem with this whole model that we're trying for both of our projects is that there is an OT in the clinic with him and 2 OT students, and they're trying to communicate what they see to 2 other OT students and a different OT. And I keep saying, just go down to the damn clinic. It's downstairs. You're in the building. Go down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Old-fashioned connections are kind of a lost art, but
I got to admit, if I could stay in my office and never see anybody, I would. Other than all of you through Zoom, this is great. But I got to say, I understand.
As close as I ever want to get to Scout again. So yes.
I did not give you COVID.
Yeah, right.
Oh, jeez.
So, Bill, I do have to ask, is it cold in your office today?
Oh my God, Scout. Yes, it's actually much better today. This building is a dorm from the 50s, and it's either always full blast cold or always full blast hot. Today is the day they're supposed to change us over to heat. So I was in Clark Hall.
Okay.
So I literally had a hat and gloves on 2 days ago in here. So all of my emails were mistyped because I was typing in gloves.
It's always hilarious watching you on Zoom because you're either pouring sweat or freezing to death. One of the two. There's no middle ground.
The only reason I came, honest to goodness, the only reason I came into the office today is today's their day. They're switching us over, and there's this glorious half-hour period between when they shut one off and the other on that the building is perfect and quiet.
Right.
So I'm here for that.
It's the little things in life that keep you going.
That's it.
Ours what randomly goes back and forth. Like, I'm like, why don't you just turn it off for a week? Yeah. No. Anyway, sorry, derailment, but you do look a little chilly.
Hey, that's all right. I've got enough ideas on this particular project, so thank you all. That's great.
They don't let you have a space heater?
Enough people have them, but if anybody sees it, you get your wrist slapped.
It's worth a wrist slap if I'm not freezing.
Boy, that's the truth. It's also my excuse for working at home as much as I can.
There you go.
Hey, I have kind of a programmatic or education question, if you all don't mind. So I'm teaching an independent study class this semester on something that I've done quite a bit at different age levels, which is engineering design and creative engineering. So I have been the client for a bunch of engineering capstone groups over the years. I have gone and been a guest speaker and done entire modules for like middle school students learning intro design stuff for AT. What I'm struggling with is finding any good materials for teaching the basics of the engineering design process to non-engineers who also aren't like grade school or middle school kids. Something that I could give to an OT student, for example, that's in between those two levels, if that makes sense. Any suggestions?
Well, I don't know how close my presentation for the New England conference would come to what you're looking for. You might be able to steal pieces of it. But it's focused on making. And I don't know if that is, it sounds like that may be part of what you're talking about, if there's engineering involved.
That's part of it. I guess the part I'm struggling, the part I'm trying to instill is the importance of going through a formal design process. So I teach the 3D printing component, and that's the part I could the making part of the making process, if you will. But going through the requirements and constraints of a design, brainstorming and not just settling in on a design idea from the very beginning and pursuing it, whether it's going to work or not. And they're like, yeah, I've got some really good resources for kids. But it almost feels, I think these students feel like it's not high enough level for them.
What do you mean not high enough level?
It's formatted for kids.
Okay.
So it's YouTubers talking to kids, and so it almost comes across as a childish presentation. I'm having, like, I found a really nice kind of simple worksheet for working through the design process and documenting all of it, published by NASA, but it's geared toward and written toward kids.
Which
So
makes
the process
it easy
is
for
the
me
same.
to understand. So I love it when it's like that.
Me too. I agree.
I guess you're
you
probably
want
dealing
them-
with a different ego when they get out of high school versus
Well,
my
it's
age
part-
where I don't care.
I think part of it is ego, but also part of it, maybe it's ego on my part, that if they're paying graduate tuition to take this thing, I don't want to give them the same thing I give my middle schoolers.
So let me send my presentation. It's not complete. I still had another month to work on it, but let me send that to you. You can take as much of it as you want. You can ask me questions about it later. It does have notes for a lot of it. And just see if there's any value in it.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bill, I think you go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I think you bring up a really, really important point that people forget. And that's kind of one of the things we're trying to advocate is people are jumping on the bandwagon for the end product, but they don't really understand the process. And that's why we're having so many inappropriate purchases of 3D printers, because they're not looking into that. And we just want the magic, but you got to have a few steps before the magic happens.
I agree completely. And I have so many times I've had a student say, well, why don't we just build this? And I say, well, let's take a minute and think through why you think that's the right answer. And as soon as you start going through the idea of requirements and constraints, they go, oh, that initial period of just brainstorming and throwing every wacky idea out that you can to see what might work is really important. And I don't think they know how to do that yet. And so much of what we do is geared toward, gosh, I look at some of the educational materials that Makers Making Change started putting together along with, was it Print Labs? A couple of years ago. I think they've pretty well abandoned that now, but it was all geared towards grade school and middle school kids, which is great. Start them young, but I've got a whole generation that didn't get any of that in school and wants to know it now. And if I give them textbooks from the engineering school, which I have, they can't grasp it because they don't have the foundational language to deal with it.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that. We need more of an engineering for AT, which is just not really out there. But we need more of that focus, because I've watched Ken's and taken his links, and now I'm learning how to do the little boxes and things on the OpenSCAD, but it takes me a long time, and knowing like where to go to get that information even is hard, because
So Shannon, and Bill, what I'll say is, having worked in industry for 3 decades, that is the way to do it. I mean, there's not a special approach for AT. There's a way to make products,
Right.
devices, services. There's a way to do that. And they do that, and they've done that in industry for thousands of years. And they don't do anything there that isn't necessary, because it takes away from the bottom line. So everything they do there, anyone who's designing AT, whether it's DIY or otherwise, needs to do as well if they want to produce something of quality. So
that's where we need Ron Nelson and Ken Hackbarth tied up with us, so that we can have you help us with the design part, and then we can just magically print it.
Well, yeah, but my point is, one of the key aspects in industry is multifunctional or cross-functional teams.
Yes.
Because no one person knows all of it, and all of that information and all those points of view are critical to producing something of quality and value. And
I would agree.
So you got to get the team together. That's where those ideas come from. So anyway, that's why I always stress, get a bunch of people with knowledge of the domain together when you're trying to solve one of these problems.
And to Ken's point, I mean, if I'm getting you right, Ken, and I'm in agreement, it's product development we're talking about.
Right.
I mean, my wife has a master's degree in product development, and her product development group, well, she was in defense, so she was working on aircraft, but then there were people working on door stops and this and that and the other thing. But the overall process of product development, how you go from an idea to its implementation, and there's expertise at every level, you know, because you may come up with a really cool design, but it can't be manufactured. Or you want to, like in my stuff, I want something, I make it open source so people can repeat it. So what does that mean? I try to stay away from super custom stuff. Can you buy it on Amazon? Yeah, okay, that's a part, you know, that sort of thing. And there's a whole lot of different things to think about when developing anything. Cost, time.
Right.
I honestly, I learned the most when I was with a machinist group, and I learned that they timed everything they did to the second. Every single second they timed, because labor was their number one cost. So they knew exactly how long it took. They knew exactly how many things they could make a day, and how they could scale and stuff like that. And you know, some of that is taught, and some of that is apprenticeship and mentoring, and you know, learning from people who have gone through it before.
Though in this domain, the most important thing to know is, what are the skills of your DIYers? Because you don't have a machinist shop that you can turn to. So you have to, your design has to be something that anybody can do.
That's also one of the places where I have had to be very deliberate. In fact, even changing the way I talk about what our lab does. I no longer talk about 3D printed AT. I talk about either customized or customizable AT, because I don't want them walking in predisposed from the beginning to say, we're going to 3D print everything. Ken, we've talked about this a lot on this call, that it is not the solution for everything or even a lot of things. And if they come in starting from the standpoint of, I want to make something that's 3D printed, they've already lost the plot, and what they come up with is not going to work.
Right. Or it might, but you know, 10% of the time, or
I think so, Scout. But even if the device that they come up with would appropriately be 3D printed, if they come in thinking that that is a requirement of it, it seems to fundamentally alter how they're thinking about what it is they even are designing. They're designing for the medium, not for the problem.
When you have a hammer, everything's a nail. I mean,
Yeah.
you see that with all these tech tools. You see it with 3D printers, CNC, laser cutters. Laser people just cut everything on a laser and everything's 1/8 inch acrylic. You know, that's all they see. It's better. This is where it's hard to teach this. You kind of have to grow up with it, I think, is having access to a bunch of different tools in a, you know,
And Ron, when I was as an engineer, I was at the very front end. So my job was to gather requirements. And that I think is the key, even though it just happened to be what I did. But to spend the time really understanding what the needs are before you jump in and grab your favorite tool or your favorite workshop, understand what problem you're trying to solve first.
Keep the end in mind so you get to the right place.
Otherwise, you're not going to give this person anything they can actually use.
Right.
I think yes, and though, I mean, yes, you have to, I mean, I think as an OT, that's not the hard part, is like, what is the task and what are the components of actually, you know, moving to do that task, and also the, you know, the why of it. But, you know, this process from Ron and Ken, like, how do you teach that? I mean, for me, if just listening, I go, then you find something super cool and kind of with a wow factor with laser cutting, with CNC, with 3D printing, with Instamorph, you know, but like, if you almost wow these students into, there is cool shit you can make with different processes, then it's almost like, okay, what am I going to choose, as opposed to like, this is how I am going to make something. But if they don't know it, if they don't see it, if they don't appreciate what other, you know, what are they, types of manufacturing or whatever, can offer, you do what you know.
And you know, that's not terrible. I mean, what you do is you put a prototype out there and you try it and you say, oh, you know, this really doesn't work. And then you do need some people who know how to make. And then they say, oh, you know, we could do that with this approach that you can't do with that approach. So at some point, somebody who has a workshop has to be involved too, because they have to present the options. But just getting something into somebody's hand virtually can make an iterative process is the way it's done in real work.
Yeah.
And knowing that, you know, the way industry does things is a smart model to follow, because industry is not wasting time, because time is money. And when you get onto other sides of things, we might, you know, tinker around with something because we don't have that same, you know, goal.
And Bill, and I'm going to send this to you too, Ron, but Bill, when you see this presentation, it also says, if you see industry doing something that you're not doing, ask yourself, why am I not doing that?
Yeah.
If industry is investing in testing and documentation and training, ask yourself, why am I not doing that?
Yeah, and that matches right up with one of my first questions whenever somebody thinks of a new device that they want is, why hasn't somebody done that device? Why doesn't that design already exist? Or does it, and you just haven't found it yet? So even tying in, going through the same process about the process, I think is really important.
And industry would never go invent something that someone else has already produced, because that market is much smaller as a result. And that is in my presentation. So I'll send it to you, see how valuable it is.
I really appreciate it. And hey, everyone, I've got a student group meeting waiting outside my door right now. So
bye-bye.
It's time to wrap up. So thanks, everybody. It's been great and fun, and see you next time.
All right.
Thanks, Scout.
All right.
Thanks,
bye.
everybody.